Uh, Something I wanted to say about traveling. My Peace Corps experience, for example, which was the longest time I was overseas, 3 years. My first wife Joyce and I lived in Brazil, and it changed me. Both of us, I'm sure, but it really changed me. My mother was struck by that, and one of the made me more serious. I don't think she liked me as much after I came back. But the thing is, I had seen the United. Not only had I seen Brazil, but I'd been overseas enough that I had seen the United States from outside the United States. It looks very different, I can tell you. And boy, is that ever true now. But anyway, I want to say a word about, more than a word, about traveling that my daughter did, some of it with me. Unlike my son, who traveled once to Europe and that was it, he's not a traveler at all. Uh, my daughter, it became almost infected by it, life-wise. I mean, she traveled a lot. And now, when she was in high school, well, let me start with, we offered to homeschool her. My son, we homeschooled. After about third grade, we homeschooled him. And my daughter was, I, I, part of it's my fault in a way. I'm a strange enough man in the eyes of people. They basically liked me, but I was so different. And she went to school with a father that was like that and who was a teacher, so everybody knew me and stuff. School was not easy for her, and by the time she was in high school, she seemed kind of unhappy, and therefore we supported the idea that she go back with Ana Carolina. That's that Brazilian girl that came to my room crying. The Brazilian girl who didn't speak Portuguese. My daughter befriended her, and she went and lived there for a year. I might have mentioned that. But at a certain, and I gave her Portuguese. She became fluent in Portuguese, and a kind of a confidence, so that when she came back, this was 11th grade, by 12th grade she was strong, and she'd always been strong, but she'd been under siege, I think, in some ways. Well, anyway, during that time, I missed her so bad. I hadn't traveled in a long time. I didn't care about traveling, but I missed my daughter so bad that by about Easter vacation, my family got together and bought me a ticket to Brazil to go visit her. So that was my last trip to Brazil. Now, back to my daughter. After high school, she didn't go straight to college. She was a very good student, and her friends were good students. They went off to college, of course, not her. She worked that summer hard as a waitress, and then got a Eurail pass, went to Europe, and traveled on that Eurail pass all over Europe by herself. Made friends as she went. She went from something like England all the way down to Spain and Portugal, and then all the way across to Romania, I think it was, Budapest. She stayed there for a while. By what do you call it? Halloween of that year, she was in Transylvania, which was kind of fun in a way. But anyway, she came back to Budapest then with her friends, and then traveled on. She went to Sweden. She went to Norway. I might have some of this out of order, but then she flew home, and that was enough for her. After Christmas, she was ready to go to college, and so the second semester is when she started, and she traveled. Now, in her life, she did a lot of other traveling, partly through her job, partly because of the man she married, who also liked to travel and traveled his work. So she has become a real traveler. Now, there were two more trips that I made with Erica. One I'll mention. I'm saving it. But the one that I'll just mention quickly is she and I went to Montreal over, I think that might have been a Easter vacation, maybe, just like a weekend to visit family that was up there. And it was just there and back. And so I was in Canada now a second time. But And it was influential. I was surprised to find that after all those years, I could still speak French. Oh, but I'm telling you about this. I mean, not great French, but I could carry on a conversation in French. Uh, I'm telling you about this partly because I came back very impressed with how, if somebody wants to have the experience of being in a foreign country, like Europe, but doesn't want to fly across the Atlantic, go to Montreal, or probably even more so Quebec. I've never been to Quebec, but I had the distinct feeling in Montreal that this was a foreign country. This wasn't just some other version of the United States. And it's from here, we drove there in a day, from here, Pennsylvania, all the way to Montreal, a long day, and then we came back in a day. Now, of course, it's harder to cross the border. So my subject here has been the travels of my daughter and how it affected her. I could go way deeper into this, but I have reserved one other trip, one other time that she was my traveling partner. Bye for now.